talking to Kathy, I think. I didn't see Rob come in. Did you see Rob?
No.
Leave one just in case she shows up here.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, probably. Probably a good idea.
Hi, how are you?
So we're on for that too. Kitchen house. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, that's good news,
See,
right?
we're a close-knit family now.
We are. Get close all the time, right?
You don't love it. Don't say that. I know you don't love sitting up here. You wanted to stay down
I
there.
prefer being down there, yes. Close-knit family, not.
Oh, you prefer that.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob. How are you?
All right, the time is 6 PM, so I'll call to order the special city council budget meeting. If I can have roll call, please. Sorry, I'm too fast for you.
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Curley,
Here.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido,
Here.
Mayor Owens.
Moving on to the next item is the hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? No one wishes to be heard. We'll move on to new business discussion, or item A, discussion on operational funds and ARPA designation. Mr. Plum?
Get the readers. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is information that was sent out a while back, but I just wanted to reiterate it before we get started and make sure that the public is aware of it. The last couple of years, we have received substantial federal funds that have come in. It has, in effect, masked our use of operational fund balance. If the federal funds were removed, the last 3 years, well, last 2 years of actual plus budget, we would have used up $1.8 million, or $1.7 million, I should say, for 21. We're projected to use 1.8 million in 22, and the budget we're going to discuss tonight would be almost 7 million use of fund balance. I just wanted that to be put before council as we make decisions, because operationally going forward, this is not sustainable, and the federal funds are going to go away. So the other thing that does need to be decided is the ARPA funds and how they're going to be utilized. In the current budget, it has been placed in the general fund, and that is reflected in what you're going to be reviewing tonight. One thing that the feds have done is there was a lost revenue calculation that you had to do. I had done that, and in 2021, the first year of calculation, we actually lost 4.6 million in revenue per the feds calculation. But then they changed it where anybody that received 10 million or less can just automatically call it revenue loss. That is my recommendation, because once you put it into revenue loss and general fund, we have to tell the feds what we're going to use it for, which public safety is one of the options. That covers about 2.5 months of public safety. Then you're actually free to do what you want with the other funds you didn't spend. I won't publicly call it a shell game, but it is a bit of moving the money around, and it does free you up to do things that are not authorized under the current ARPA rules. So that doesn't have to be decided tonight, but it is definitely something that you need to consider and recognize that that is in the current budget as if it's revenue replacement. And that's all I had on those topics.
Anyone have any questions?
Sure, Mayor Pro Tem. One thing, thanks, Mr. Blum. We've talked previously about having a public hearing for the funds, and actually, I'm not sure, I guess, if that's a requirement or not, but I know that we've discussed that. I think we should at least do that before deciding, I guess is my personal opinion.
Is it too late to add a public hearing to the next agenda, or would we have to wait, because we have to post it?
It's not an actual requirement, so there's no time limit on notice, so we could add it to the next meeting.
And we've got quite a, it was the end of '24 before we had to decide? I think it was
December of '24 to decide, December of '26 to utilize it.
Okay, so,
It's
just
just-
saying that because it doesn't have to be very next meeting, I guess.
No, you're right.
It doesn't.
We'll use it before 26.
Yeah,
But you also have to realize I've recorded it in general fund, and it has to be recorded somewhere because we received the money. And at a later date, if you decide to move it somewhere else, it's going to come out of general fund, go somewhere else, and it'll just kind of screw the numbers up a little bit. So the sooner we decide, the better. I have to do quarterly reporting, and even if the report is, it hasn't been decided yet, I have to do a report on it, so.
I was going to mention, if council still designated it as a loss of revenue, a public hearing could still be scheduled so that you can get the public's input on how to still utilize those funds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that, too. I just want to give the public an opportunity to speak on it more than anything, so. Okay. All right, we'll move on to item B, and that's library. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Todd?
is she gonna come
You-
say hi?
She can come up and say hi. I'm, she didn't come all the way over here, so.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, sorry. But I just want to say that, libraries have struggled over the last couple of years because of the pandemic. But I'm really happy to report that more and more of our residents are coming to our library, using our services. We just added fax and notary service, from which they're very appreciative. They can just come to the library and do all their business there. We've added a couple of new collections, video games, and our seed collection just started last month. And people have been coming in and checking out our seed packets, and it's fantastic. And we're looking, just moving forward with several projects, including these soundproof office pads. We have lots of patrons coming to the library because they need to get away from the noise and chaos of home. And these soundproof office pads are affordable, they're portable, and they're a perfect solution for this. And so I'm investigating that and hoping that we can have that in place sometime in the next year. We couldn't do any of what we do at the library if it wasn't for the residents. They voted overwhelmingly for our millage. And for that, I am extremely grateful because we get to provide services, programs, and our collections.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Maybe one
Yes.
quick thing. When we spoke on Saturday at the library, can you mention the grant for the grant application?
Yes, last Thursday, we submitted a grant application for solar arrays. So hopefully, if we get this grant, we're going to be able to power the library through solar energy.
Awesome.
Yeah. And those soundproof office pads are also used with sustainable materials, so it's all good for the environment and for the patrons.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Library is my favorite because it's always really quick. Yeah, we get a motion to approve the library budget.
So moved?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Moving on to item C, I believe we have Judge Galen here from the court.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have some additional information that wasn't included in the proposed budget, but just to highlight, maybe it was included, but to highlight it. As of today's date, the revenue that we've paid to the city is $1.875905 for this past year, which is up $455,787 from last year. Another thing I wanted to point out that wasn't in the budget is I have looked into receivables that are owed to the court for fines and costs, and the total owed is $7,600,616. These are funds that I would like to go after to try to bring in additional revenue. I omitted 7 years because the number that I gave you was all-inclusive. Getting just beyond the 7 years, $5,385,241. And that ties into my request for additional staffing. I think what you need to be aware of too is I have gone through prior years. Our caseload is up substantially. In 2019, the caseload was at 22,028. 2020, it was 18,210. Last year, we were up 25,034 of cases filed. Cases disposed of last year, 21,328. So our caseload is higher. The employee rate is still the same. I'm concerned for employee burnout. I know how hard our staff works. They're overburdened with the backload from COVID. So we need some help with the backlog, number one. Number two, I would like to have a clerk, a financial clerk, who can help us go after this $5,385,241 that's owed to the court. And right now, we just don't have the manpower for it. I was asking for 2 full-time employees. I would like 2 full-time employees, but I could start with 1 and possibly a part-time. We need part-time security. We have a new magistrate who has been very helpful so far to the court, taking a lot off of my plate, allowing me to do the job that I was voted in to do. But we need security to cover the magistrate's courtroom when he's there. So I'm asking for 2 employees and a part-time security. The difference in budget from last year to this year is only $80,965 more than we asked for last year. And I would ask you to approve the budget as presented. Any questions?
Council have any questions?
Can I get a clarification from Mr. Blum, I guess, before I ask does the, well, I guess if, I'm on page 5 for the line item. The increase we're talking about in appropriations from last year to this year, I think we're talking the 1.42 million to 1.5, right, Judge?
Yes.
Does that include either the 2 requested from the this sheet? Okay.
No, it does not. We had the budget was done with status quo, and then if the council approves the additional staffing, we will add it in before the budget's final.
And it does include, though, the switch to and court administrator, splitting that into a court administrator and the part-time magistrate.
Correct.
So I have a question. So last year, we approved for 3 part-time clerks to help assist you. We realized that obviously you walked into a courtroom that was backlogged because of COVID. And we also approved the part-time magistrate. Are you still having, it's the part-time magistrate now, like the visiting, are we still using the visiting judge?
Not as much.
Not as much.
I only use the visiting judge now if I have a day off, so that we don't have to postpone cases.
Okay.
Or when I have judicial seminars, things of that nature. And the magistrate is limited as to what he could do when we need space. That's another issue. But when we have jury trials, we have to, block off days for the jury trial, and we don't get anything else done, so things start backing up again. And I'm trying to figure out a way that we can use the space that we have now to be able to bring in a jury, stick them in the jury room instead of the second courtroom, so that we can have, on the day that I have a jury trial, I can have the visiting judge doing cases in the other room. So there's lots of moving parts that we're trying to make work with limited space. So that's, like I said, another issue for another time. And one other thing, with regard to the part-time employees, they're just that, part-time employees, and we've had 3 at one time, we've had 1 at one time, so they come and go as, as we need them or as they're available.
So I guess that was going to be one of my questions, like if we took one of the part-time positions and we made it full-time, do you think that would be a benefit? Because I do think full-time employees are usually a little bit more, they like their job and they're more devoted, I mean, for sure.
No, I
Not always.
absolutely think that, because although our part-time employees have really brought a lot to the table to help over at the court with the backload, the transiency of it, I want to see the same people there, all part of a team, working, team justice, I call it, moving the court forward and digging us out and all working together. And, occasionally you have to move parts, but for the most part, I think full-time employees are more dedicated to their job and maybe more committed to staying longer than a part-time employee.
Then my next question would be, what would be the estimated cost for the part-time security?
They charge us $25 an hour.
Okay.
So, and with no benefits, just, as we need them. When we have a court officer that goes on vacation or takes time off. We have 2 over there now, but we have somebody who watches the door, and then we have one in my courtroom. And then it's kind of difficult when we have the magistrate in his courtroom for security purposes to leave, we can't leave the front door open, but we leave one of the courtrooms vulnerable when we do that. So that's why I think a part-time security would be beneficial to the court and to protect our employees.
I don't know how the rest of council would feel about possibly taking one of the part-time clerks and just making it a full-time position, so it'd be 7 full-time and 2 part-time.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just hard to balance the whole budget so early on in the night here, because well, you know, as Mr. Blum was saying initially here, without changing anything right now, general funds let's see, am I right, the 1.7 million, right, Mr. Blum? In the whole, without adding anything, and without putting that.
Yeah, if you ignore the federal revenue that's there, yes, that would be true.
But yeah, I think, what would probably
The financial,
minimal.
looks like the financial impact would be like probably around 50,000 more to do that. I'm just saying because they might increase their revenue anyway, so it might actually offset the cost of it at the court.
Well, and with a full-time financial person, we can go after the money that's just sitting there. We could get garnishments out. If we get garnishments out, before the attorneys get garnishments out, we have a good way of recouping some of the monies that are owed to the court. And that's a lot of money. Over $5 million owed to the court.
I'm in favor of your proposal.
I'll make the motion to approve the proposed budget with just changing one of the part-time clerks to being a full-time clerk.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley, Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Before moving on, really quick though, one other thing, the part-time security, I just want to get a little more information because we were just told about it tonight. So we can always maybe amend the budget later on that after we have more time to.
Okay.
Or is that that's included here, I think, right?
Was it
Page
included
3.
in?
It was not included in the proposed budget. After the magistrate came on board, that's when we realized there was a little bit of a problem, and that was after the budget was already submitted.
What's, unless this is just the current security then?
Yes.
706, page 3 for the line. Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you, Judge Kayla. Does
Thank
anyone
you.
have anyone else, any other questions for her?
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
We'll move on to the clerks, elections, and ranked choice voting. How are you this evening?
Well, how are you?
Good.
Basically, I am presenting the budget, asking it be approved as presented, unless you have any questions. The largest reduction was that of removing the ranked choice voting.
Anyone have any questions?
I'll move that we approve the clerks/elections/ranked choice voting budget.
Thank you very much. Support. Please call the roll, sorry.
No,
I supported it, so,
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido,
yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
We'll
you.
move on to building rental and code enforcement. Who's going to be presenting the building permit? All right. Anyone know what page it is?
Building
Oh.
departments, page 88 in the budget.
90? Yes.
Yeah, page 33 on the line item detail.
Thank you.
Oh.
All right, so building also didn't have too much change other than the removal of the staff So we're in contract with McKenna. We have the 80-20 split with revenue. So what is budgeted here in the building department are the 2 full-time staff and then the cost of general operations. So you'll see the professional and contract services has the McKenna line item for the split for revenue there.
Council have any questions?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I'll motion we approve the building/rental/code enforcement budget.
Support.
Have a motion to support. Can you please call the roll?
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Moving on to F, Economic Development and DDA. I believe Ms. Holman is here.
37 on here.
35.
Line item 37.
37 for economic development and 49 for DDA.
All right.
Good evening.
This afternoon, this evening, the DDA had their board meeting, and they did approve the final budget just in time for tonight's meeting. So that one is good to go. So let me know if you have any questions, please.
Council have any questions?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I'll motion we approve the economic development/DDA budgets.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is Police and Fire, and we have Director Rohib here to present those for us.
No, doesn't matter. What page? Thank you.
Page 14.
Good afternoon, council,
Good afternoon.
or good evening, I should say.
Good evening.
Since I'm over 50% of the budget, I figured I'd do a very short PowerPoint just to give you and our stakeholders a better perspective of what we do both. Well, I could start with, we'll start with the police department. So for an overview of the police department, right now we are budgeted for 44 sworn officers. That includes myself. We have a number of divisions in the police department, such as patrol records, our detective bureau, narcotics, a motor unit, auto theft, code enforcement, canine reserves, a chaplain program, police service aides, reserves, a drone unit, special investigations, and a special response team. So as you can see, there's a lot going on. Sarisa does our dispatching. We're on the same frequency as St. Clair Shores. And also Clemis maintains all of our police records. The average calls for service a year is approximately 26,000 runs a year for the police department. The officers execute about 1,600 arrests. And we're well known for our neighborhood watch group, our various Facebook pages, and our response time. The next slide there, you can see the department statistics for 2021. Last year we had 25,000, approximately 25,000 calls for service, almost 1,500 arrests. The officers wrote about 9,800 citations, and we had 507 accidents investigated. Below that, you'll see the major violent crimes. These are the specific crimes, and you should get, I believe you get a report, you should get a report every month on our crimes. You could see how they fluctuate from 19, 20, 21. The main crimes that we face here in the city is assaults. As you can see, we had 776 assaults last year and 332 larcenies. Some of these can be prevented, and we try to educate our our stakeholders, through our neighborhood watch, certain things, how you can prevent certain crimes, especially property crimes. Primary goals for 2021. We did a lot last year. We purged over 150 firearms in our property room. We purged over 35,000 police reports that were down in the basement for years, so we're finally caught up. We updated all our department policies and procedures using a professional company, Lexipol. We implemented a drone unit. We purchased body-worn cameras. Thanks to the council for approving that. We also purchased all new cameras for our patrol vehicles. We also passed our state lien audit and our kennel inspection by the Department of Agriculture, and we also enhanced our chaplain program. Our goals for this upcoming budget, I would like to be at full staffing levels. I said we were at full staffing a couple weeks ago when we swore in our 2 officers. Unfortunately, we lost 1, so we're 1 down. We're going to have a retirement next Thursday, so we're going to be 2 down. I do have at least 2 to 3 officers we're looking at. They're solid applicants. We have to go through the interview process yet, but we have some good people coming up. Also, I'd like to assign, one of the biggest goals when I came here, I want to assign a police officer to the East Point Community Schools full-time. Right now, we assign a police officer to the schools part-time. He probably works there maybe 10, 15 hours a week, and at free of charge. We're not charging the school, but if you want the position to be an effective position, we need someone there full-time, no doubt. And it's not just the high school, it's all the schools here in East Point. Also want to assign an officer to the DEA. I already started that process. The DEA is doing a background investigation on the officer right now, and what that means for us is that officer will work in conjunction with local, state, and federal units. They will also help our narcotics unit, and any seizures that the officer is involved with in the DEA, we will get a portion of that. It will take probably about 1.5 years before we see any proceeds come into the city, and we can use all that funding for equipment. The big thing, too, is myself and the Deputy Chief, Merlo, we wanted to begin the accreditation process through the Michigan Associations of Chiefs of Police. Already started. I have applied. We're just waiting for the response. Once I get the response, we have to come up with 100. We're going to have to follow 108 standards they give us and attach proofs to the standard. And this is a continual thing. It's not just you're accredited and that's the end of it. This is year after year after year. Make sure that we're following the best standards out there. And it will also reduce our liability insurance and also just basically give the department a stamp of approval from the state. And I also want to continue building improvements. We have done building improvements for the last 3 years, and we appreciate all your support for that. We're not doing any kind of major construction, but the things that we have done, the place looks so much nicer. The employees appreciate it. You can tell they're a lot happier when they come to work, and they're taking care of the place, and it's great when the public come in because I'm not embarrassed to open the doors to the public. But by the end of next year at this time, I'm very confident that both the police and the fire department buildings will be 100% updated, with just paint, carpet, some lights here and there. So you'll see the building improvement line items significantly be reduced. Current staffing levels. Right now, we have 2 administrations. I count as half. The deputy chief's 1, so we have 2 at administration. We have 5 lieutenants, 5 sergeants, 27 patrol officers. I have 5 detectives. I have a full-time record supervisor, 1 full-time code enforcement officer, 8 police service aides. We have 18 police reserves, 1 porter. I have a civilian that handles all our property. He's part-time. I have 1 full-time administrative secretary, 3 clerical, 1 animal control officer, 3 chaplains, and 4 crossing guards. So it's a lot to manage, but like to see more people, but this is what we're doing very well with what we have right now. If you look at the police budget, there's not much changing from last year to the proposed budget. However, one thing you'll see is the vehicle leases, That was coming out of drug forfeiture. We decided that that monies should come out of the general fund. That's $136,000 per year that will come out of the general fund to pay for vehicles. However, we are going to utilize the drug forfeiture account to pay for 2 police officers' salaries that are assigned to that unit, which is $155,000. And I think that that's a little bit easier to, just makes more sense, I think, because that vehicle charge is going to keep going up every year as long as we keep leasing vehicles. It's just going to, it could be up to $200,000 in the next 5 years. What we talked about a couple weeks ago, a couple things that we requested that are not part of this budget is, I would like to hire 2 additional police officers. You know, originally, I just wanted to hire 2 and put them in traffic. But what I'd like to do is still hire the 2. If we can work out a deal with the schools, that would be 1 officer, and the other officer I want to assign to traffic. One of the biggest complaints that I receive every single day on every Facebook page is the volume of traffic in the subdivisions, the number of violators, and the people are 100% correct. We do our best with what we have. I mean, we're handling 70-plus runs a day. We're busy, but I need somebody specifically in the subdivisions, that's your job, 8 hours a day, doing enforcement details. That position will pay for itself. I don't want to be policing for dollars, but it's inevitable. I mean, the tickets they write and the arrests they make, they'll pay for their salary.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Councilman Monaco had a question.
Yes.
Can we actually go back one slide?
Yeah.
We continue on that one? So for this, just a couple quick questions. So I see we're basically swapping the 2 items, but so what, I don't remember off the top of my head when we did all the leases, and obviously we, well, I guess we just changed code enforcement, not PD, but so we've only partially gotten on the enterprise shtick, you know, with some of the vehicles. Not all of the vehicles are with enterprise yet. Is that why you're saying
That is correct.
That amount will go up?
And that amount of 136, that's not including, that's including 3 vehicles that we're proposing to lease this year. We need a vehicle for the sergeants and lieutenants. We need a vehicle for one of the DDB vehicles, and we're buying a new prisoner van. So that 136 includes the 3 vehicles we're going to be asking for. But probably half our fleet, I wish I had my sheet, I think a little bit more, I should say 45% of our fleet is enterprise. The rest are not. They're just detective cars. We don't put many miles on those. There's probably only 5, maybe 4 patrol cars left that are not enterprise. The good thing about enterprise is we're not spending the money in vehicle maintenance. I remember when I first started here, we were spending, the first year was like $95,000 in vehicle maintenance. I think we've only spent $25,000 this year. So the vehicle maintenance went down, and the officers are driving safer vehicles. And but yes, that 136, that will include the 3 that we're asking for this year, if we can get them. I mean, it takes, I just talked to Enterprise the other day, it's taken about 8 to 10 months to get a car.
These are all vehicles that we previously discussed?
Yes.
Then? And
Yes.
already approved? Okay.
Yes, that's, yes, yes.
And then so I guess for the drug forfeiture fund, how, putting 2 officers in there, how is that going to be sustainable?
We're just switching, it's basically switching, we're switching it around. It's not, we're still going to lose 2 officers off the street because they're going to narcotics, but they will work in conjunction with our road patrol, but we're just basically having the forfeiture pay for the 2 officers instead of the vehicles. That's all that is.
Well, but we've only had the vehicles for a couple of years, so.
About 3 years, so.
Yeah. Well, are we gonna bring in enough revenue though? Because I thought that fund was, I forget what page that was.
52.
We're overspending in that fund, right? 150,000.
I don't even know what our balance is in our drug forfeiture account. I know it should be, I have all the deposit slips that are provided, but I don't know the actual balance.
I guess, so basically, if we do the same thing each year that we're talking about here, I believe in 3 years, we won't have any money left in the fund unless.
No.
I'm not understanding.
When I had when the unit was running, they were bringing in a lot of money. They were making a lot of seizures. We had to shut down the unit for several months because of the lack of staffing. I had, I want to say, up to 10 officers retire almost within 1 year. So I had no choice but to shut the unit down. But when they were operating, with the 3 officers in there, with the supervisor and the 2 officers, they were doing a great job in there.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I may. Over the last couple of years, what would be the total forfeiture fund that you collected?
That's something Mr. Blum would have to answer.
I don't have that in front of me. I do know in fiscal year '21, they brought in $270,000. This year, we're only budgeted for 150, and I think we're a little bit light on that right now, again, because of staffing issues. For the '23 budget, we're budgeting 175, hoping that the unit gets up and running and starts bringing the money back in. So that's the plan. And if you get someone in the DEA, they tend to get larger drug bust, which will bring in more money than we get locally.
So,
Yeah.
so,
The unit should be in operation July 1st.
so let me ask probably sounds like a crazy question, council members and mayor. But anybody can. So if you're taking 2 officers from the general fund,
Correct.
from this budget,
Yes.
and using forfeiture funds, so that's $155,720 that would not be in the general fund. So it was there before, but now it's not. So it's there, but it's not being.
Yeah, just a different way of paying.
It's not being spent at this
Correct.
moment.
It's just a different method of
Am
payment.
I way off on that?
Yeah, we just swapped the 2.
However, it is being offset by the vehicle money that's coming out of drug forfeiture
Right.
into general fund. So it's actually a net improvement to general fund of about $19,000 by doing it this way.
But soon won't be, I guess, because the leases are going to go up.
The leases aren't coming out of the general fund. This is a police officer's salary.
Well, right, no, Mr. Blum was saying it would be positive for the general fund, but only
Oh.
this year. And then
Yeah.
it won't be after that.
But there's certain uses for the drug forfeiture money, and the officer salary and benefits is more appropriate than doing the whole fleet vehicle leases. Trying to keep in compliance with the regulations.
So currently, 3. We're done with that.
Councilman Gurley, you have another question?
I'm just trying to, here's me.
Were you all set with your question?
Well, I got another question.
Sure.
The slide that said somebody would pay for, or you're asking somebody that they could pay for 75%.
Yes.
Was that on the slide? Yeah? Can we go back to that?
Wait, which slide are we on here?
I don't know
We're on the
which one
wrong
it was.
slide. Go up one, no, go back. What we're trying to work out with the schools, now we have 2 officers I'm requesting.
Okay, the APCS, you're talking about the
Right,
schools.
yes. We're trying to work out a deal. We're requesting 75%. The schools indicate they want to pay 50, so we're trying to work something out. I'm very confident that we will, but keep in mind, no matter what, if I put a full-time officer in that school, I have to hire an additional officer to pick up their duties in the Detective Bureau. I can't run the Detective Bureau with 1 officer short because they're already overworked as it is. So if they agree to 50 or 75%, whatever the mutual agreement is, that's definitely going to benefit, the city. But we're still going to have to pick up 25% of that salary. But you need an officer in the school full-time. The part-time officer in the school does not cut it. I mean, it just doesn't work. There's too much work in the school, and the officer can definitely benefit, the administration, the parents, and the students. And plus, if the officer's in the school full-time, he or she builds up better relationships and trust with the schools, and basically he represents all of us. So, but if the school says, hey, we'll do it for 75%, and council says, well, I won't let you hire, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Thank you.
Unless I just missed some, I thought that, are we saying the schools are not paying right now?
They are not paying. They're not paying anything. They're getting a part-time officer in the school at zero. We're not charging them a dime. And he's in there 10 to 15 hours a week. And it's not just working in the schools. When he comes back to the station, he has to make follow-up phone calls. He has to go get juvenile petitions. He has to type reports. That's time away from working on criminal cases. Now, if I lost that person, full-time because the school wants him 12 months, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's not fair to the other employees. Then we start getting sloppy in our investigations. I certainly don't want that. But if we can work out a deal, I did a study. I think I called 5 or 6 different cities last week. Every single one of them's paying anywhere from 100% down to 75%. Some pay fringe benefits, and that 75%, that includes fringe benefits. So, but every city's different, but everyone's paying. Every city is paying except East Point. And I get it, there's money issues or they have financial issues at one point. I understand that, and we did our best to work with them. But I would like somebody in there full-time, and so would they. We just have to mutually agree on a number and move forward. And I like to do this sooner than later, because if I'm able to hire somebody right now, that officer will be fully trained by the time that officer starts the school year. That's the goal.
So I'm sorry if I'm repetitive, the schools haven't paid any year.
Correct. Since I've been here, no.
Okay.
Maybe before my time, maybe, I don't know, but
Oh, that's
since,
all, just
Yeah.
that time.
right, they haven't paid anything. We just,
Okay.
we're trying to work with them as best we can. And we do spend a lot of time at the schools, not just the one officer. We spend a lot of time there on various things. There's a lot of students there. And we do our best, but I know we can do better.
Finish.
So basically, the major change in the police budget is I'm just requesting the 2 police officers. One will be assigned to traffic, and one would be, the assumption would be, the other one would be assigned to the schools. So in essence, I'm asking for if they agree to 75%, I'm asking for 1.25 police officers. This way, someone's in the neighborhoods every single day, 8 hours a day, and then I have someone in the school, perfect scenario. And the rest of the line items, they're all consistent. There's no big jumps. There's still building improvements, not as much as this year, but the building improvements, as I stated before, that will be down to almost nothing in one more solid year, we'll have everything done. In both departments, I gotta say, we have all our equipment's in great shape. Everything's going very well. It's just, obviously it's personnel, sometimes personnel issues. I know that's the most expensive, but I could ask for 10 police officers, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm always gonna ask what I think is reasonable. And, obviously we have to have the money to pay for it. But I do listen to the people day after day, and the biggest issue is traffic in the subdivisions. And I'd like to do something. The four-wheelers, the mini bikes, I would love to tow every single one of them. But when we do, when an officer has to go tow one, he's out of service for 30 minutes, waiting for a tow truck, doing the inventory sheet, entering it in the computer, doing a report. It takes a long time.
I have a quick question. Are you done with your?
Yeah,
question?
yes.
Are you still asking for part-time animal control also, or?
That's in the next budget.
Oh.
That's in 2 budgets after
Oh,
this.
okay. I'm putting that,
That's a separate budget, so,
okay.
but yes.
Council, you guys have any questions?
Well, I know we're being televised and we're on the record, but I guess I'm, what do I want to use? Disappointed. It appears that the school is at best dragging their feet to cooperate with the city as far as paying for an officer that's there. And I don't, I'm not micromanaging, so I don't know who's supposed to sit down with whomever, the finance director or the superintendent, to say, this is our situation. We've been asking for this 75% for a long time, and up until now, the school hasn't paid anything. And we keep hearing everybody saying the school and the city should work together. Well, it sounds to me like we brought the football and they didn't bring the field.
This is the closest that we've been into resolving or coming up with an agreement. And I think we're very close.
Okay.
We're very close. It's just a matter of 50 or 75%. I already sent everyone from the school the list of all the duties and responsibilities that the officer would be responsible for, and there's quite a few. And the days of service and the times, it's just a matter of let's iron out the financial part, and if we can do that, we can move forward from day one for the next school year. But
I'm sorry, I have one quick question about the school officer. So the school officer how many hours a day would the school officer be working within the schools?
if the school officer is full-time, they want the officer there basically 8 hours a day,
Okay.
5 days a week. They wanted a patrol car at the school every day. I can't do that, but we certainly can have them take one there once in a while. We can discuss whether the officer wears a uniform or not. Some days they should, so they can identify themselves as a police officer, and some days they shouldn't. You know, typically kids are more apt to go up to you, you know, if you're not in uniform. They feel more comfortable. But it's just these little things. That's the easy part. It's the money. It's either 50 or 75%. And again, I've talked to 5, 6 different communities in Macomb County, and every single one of them's paying. You know, anywhere from a $75,000 flat rate to 100. In Fraser, they're paying 100% for the school officer. But everyone's different.
So I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I mean, I would be okay with approving the hire of another officer if the school agreed to pay 75%.
That's kind of what I was thinking about. I guess I want to make sure we don't hurt ourselves financially when, like, say we hire an officer anticipating an agreement, and then let's just say for some reason the school say, no, we're not going to do it. Then we still have an extra body there, and then, you know, what's the financial impact of that, or can we sustain that?
Well, we can always hire one officer. I can place that officer in traffic, and then if the school agrees on the 75%, I can hire the second officer.
Well, that's what I guess what I'm saying is that, I mean, I would make the agreement that if the school, you know, tonight to say, okay, council is going to approve this position, so you're in a position to go to the school board and say, hey, council gave me the go-ahead to hire another officer if you guys agree to pay 75%. So that's where I was looking. So you would have that ability to go to the schools and make that
Right.
proposal.
According to the superintendent of the school, Dr. McLeod I was talking to, apparently the school board's they're all for the full-time officer. They said if we agree to 50%, it can happen tomorrow. And then I've been talking to our city manager, and we're going back and forth, and we explained our concerns in writing So we're still waiting to hear back, but I'm hoping, I'm confident that we can work something out in the next 30 days.
So,
Councilman Curley, you your hand up.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were giving me a peace sign or what, so.
What's that? Okay, here's my thinking, council members. The administration has taken 2 police officers and transferred the funds from the general fund and using the forfeiture funds,
Yes,
which is a great idea. The forfeiture fund started way back, probably 88, 89, when I was sitting here. That's great. Then we have the other police officer, where it looks like, it sounds to me like you're pretty confident that school would cooperate in that. We can always make a motion to, when move to hire 2 police officers, 1 for traffic and 1 for school board, contingent upon the school district paying the 75%
yes,
of the fund.
that's very fair.
Just contingent upon, and if they say, well, we won't pay 75 cents, we'll pay 50%, then they'd have to come back and ask the council, if they agreed to 50, not 75, would that make a difference?
So, hold on. So you're proposing, I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
I'm proposing, well, let me put a motion out on the floor, and if it doesn't get a second, then we'll keep talking. I would,
I do have one question.
yes, go ahead.
You said that Dr. McCall said that if we agree to 50%, they do it tomorrow.
Yes,
So the 75, that extra 25%, that would be better from a financial standpoint is really the sticking point. If they took him on full-time, are they gonna pay, they'll pay, let's say they do agree to the 75%, will that be for the full 12 months,
yes.
75%?
That officer basically will be assigned to that school. He'll have his own office there, computer, everything. He'll be there all year. They have summer classes there. Now, my original proposal was to have the officer at the school for 9 months out of the year at 75%. And in the summer months, at least the officer can be assigned to the detective bureau, perform detective duties, and then, if there's summer classes, he can take an hour out of the day or an hour and a half out of the day to go to the schools and make sure everything's okay, and that would be at no charge. But that would make more sense to me, because most schools, I shouldn't say most, all of the agencies I've spoken to regarding the school liaison is they utilize them for 9 months out of the year. The summer they're off. They do other duties in the department. That would make it a lot easier for us.
I have a question for Mr. Blum. So with benefits and compensation, about approximately how much would it cost to hire the officer?
Well, we assumed it would be a more experienced officer going to the school. So it would be an existing officer being transferred there. So the cost of the school, or the cost of that officer with benefits, was $151,000 a year, of which the school was expected to pay $75,000. They would then be replaced by a new hire that would come in. They would cost us closer to $120,000 with benefits when they start.
Okay, so we're looking at like the cost of the city would be about, if we did 25%, if we were picking up the cost of 25%, you're looking at about like 38,000,
Correct.
37,000.
Basically, the original proposal was 75% would effectively be 100% of the officer's cost during the school year. And then we would utilize that individual in the detective bureau in the summer months.
So I guess the reason why I'm asking is, so if we did agree with the schools to do the 50%, but we try to negotiate just doing the 9 months, so then we had that officer available to work in the city in the summer. Because I think, on average, I think the police department's probably busier in the summer
Yes.
anyways, just chasing, like you said, those little motorbikes, so.
Yeah, a lot more than that, but yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that police officer
I
would
don't-
be at the school 8 hours at least, 8 hours a day.
Yes, during those 9 months, full-time at the school, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
I mean, I'm just thinking as like another option for the schools to try to negotiate with them. Well, okay, we'll do it for 9 months at 50% instead of at 12 months at 75. You know, give them the option either way.
And it would be a year-by-year contract anyways. We can always reevaluate it. We will keep statistics on all the work the officer's doing, petitions, reports, you know, interviews, things of that nature. You would get a report every year, you know, and we can decide whether or not we want to continue the contract, or if we want to increase it 50 to 60 or 70, but basically, it's going to be on work performance. You know, I do want to put somebody in school full-time. That was one of my top priorities, and they certainly want it, and I guess they're more financially stable now, and that's why we've been talking about it, and I just want to work something out and get this going, because I don't want to lose these recruits that we have.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and make the motion with the 75%. I know we're throwing around a lesser amount, but I guess that would be like, well, I want to sell my house to you for $100,000, but if you can't afford that, give me 50. And they're going to take the cheapest route if they know that we'll sell it for something less than 75. So
Right. but
my
Council-
motion would be, and as I said, if you don't get a second, that's fine. We'll keep talking. I would move that we approve hiring of 2 police officers, one to go into traffic, is that right? That's
Yes.
okay? And the other one would go to the school, contingent upon the school district agreeing to pay 75% of the, so,
And that's for a 12-month period.
yes, 12 months.
Do I have support? No support.
You didn't say that
dies.
very loud.
Do I have support? Motion dies.
Well, wait a minute, give him a second to
Okay.
think about it.
All right.
Can I make a comment while?
All right, let's keep talking.
Because, well, about your item, Mr. Curley, while Mr. Baker's thinking. I think, because I don't think I chimed in for the last couple minutes, I think well, where I'm at is that we should stay at the staffing level we have and still work with the school district to recoup part of the position, well, 75% of the position. You know, hopefully, especially just looking at the overall picture too. I think I'd like to just stay at the staffing level for the police department right now where we're at, regardless, but also with the, 1.7 million that Mr. Blum's talking about here. I think we'd be better off. And I think once we're done with this conversation, I'll have a question again about I think I still have a couple of questions about the drug forfeiture fund. But that's where I'm at, I guess, with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of swirling around the same school of thought. And I just really, in a perfect world, yeah, you can never have too many officers, but financially, if it's gonna hurt us, that's my biggest concern. I don't wanna put us closer to the red, in the red, or whatever, and that's kind of where I was going. I know the issues at the schools. Having kids go there over the last few years, and I've gone into the schools and had conversations about some of the things going on, and then just talking to my children about things that they see every day. So I would like to see that officer at the schools, and I think if that 75% is agreed upon, I think that would be good. And then I guess to see how we are financially before hiring another officer. I know we're at the staffing levels now, like Councilman DeMonica said. And I just think from the financial aspect, I think we'd be a little safer to maintain the staff. I would have to agree with them. And but I would still like to see that officer at the school. I want to see as many as we can get, but
Yeah. And like, as I stated, we can put an officer in a school full-time, but I would have to replace it all. We would have to hire an additional officer to replace that officer being gone all day, 5 days a week. I can't just take a full-time officer, put him in the school and remain, and have the same staffing levels. It won't work.
So, I agree with, Councilman Baker and Councilman Monaco, but I also agree with Director Rohab. I know financially we're not in a position to hire that other street officer. I mean, I agree with that. The school officer, like I said, I mean, in my opinion, I would be willing, if it was only gonna cost us 25%, which would only be a total of $37,000 a year, probably like 30,000, because like the officer we replaced him with, his salary would actually be less, it would be like 30,000 a year. So I think from a financial point, it would, if the schools agreed to it, it would be worth $30,000 a year to hire that officer to be able to put it in the schools. But I know financially we can't afford to do both officers, so, and that would only be if the schools did approve to pay the 75%.
I guess, ask Mr. Blum a question, and just to make sure I'm understanding it okay. So if the school took this officer in at 75%, basically his salary for the year, they did it for the 12 months, it'd kind of be a wash from our end minus 25, except for the 25%.
Correct.
Okay, so then if we hired another officer, we just kind of maintain, it'd almost be maintaining where we're at right now. I mean, I know he'd make a little less, but we'd be maintaining pretty much where we are currently.
Yes, that scenario would be sustainable.
Okay.
So I guess that's the motion I would put in place, is to motion to accept the police department's budget as is, with the exception of approving one additional officer if the school district agreed to pay 75%.
What, are you waiting for a second?
Yes.
Well, obviously, my motion sunk like the Titanic, so, but I still think we need to add something, so I'm, if I'm only going to get one officer instead of two, I'll second that motion, just to clarify it, contingent upon the school district providing 75%.
Correct.
What you're saying? I'll support.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
No.
Okay. We'll move on, I guess, to animal control then.
You want to do the
Oh,
fire?
fire? Okay.
Yeah, let's do fire. The fire would be easy.
Actually, sorry, can I ask a question, even if we're, have made the motion already, just, or
Sure.
I guess you could even get back
No,
back to me later. I guess I'd be interested to see a look back on how much money we've brought into the drug forfeiture fund, for 10 years. Because the 2 years I brought up here, just while we were sitting here, it's like we brought in like 40 grand. I mean, that fund's gonna be bankrupt in like 3 years, putting the 2 officers in that fund.
That's not, I know that, I don't see the actual numbers for drug forfeiture, but I can tell you with the receipts we have, they're well over 200,000-300,000 in the last probably 18 months.
Yeah, I think fiscal year 20 or something, I think it said 400
Yeah.
grand, but then I'm looking at like 2 other past years and I see for, let's see, which one? 2017-18
Yeah.
activities, 44,000.
We have to remember, we didn't have a drug unit till I reinstated the drug unit. It was shut down for several years, and we reinstated it in the latter part of 2018. So, and it takes a while to get established, but it's been closed down. The only seizures they were getting were road seizures. The road patrol officers stopping vehicles, and they had narcotics, and they seized out of the car or cash, but nothing, there was no activity in a drug unit because there wasn't a drug unit back then, so.
On the 1920 is 34,000.
No, I don't know, I don't think that's correct. I can get receipts for every deposit. We keep receipts for every single deposit we make. In 34,000, I mean, we did a gun sale from narcotics and it was like 70-some thousand. and several vehicles we sold back. We did a lot of cash seizures.
And I guess the other thing, just reading about the changes potentially in like civil asset forfeiture, I
Yeah.
guess I don't really, I certainly don't 100% grasp it, but couldn't that?
It's pretty simple. It's, they just flip, well, marijuana's legal now, so you used to be able to seize money. Typical possession cases, you don't seize money anymore. You had to post a bond to claim an interest in the property. You don't do that anymore. And now there has to be a conviction. So if I seize money or property, there has to be a conviction, then I can go for the seizure, because there's a criminal aspect to it and there's a civil aspect. And it's not much different. It's makes things a little bit more difficult, but it shouldn't have any impact.
And if you wish, I can provide a history on the revenues.
And real quick, I have one other thing. Mr. Blum, on page 185 of the budget, it says under patrol officers on here, it says that there's 33, and I believe there's only 32 unless we end up hiring, which I don't even know if it's a school liaison when we really pay patrol officers.
We have 32 patrol officers. We have 10 command, 2 administrators. That's 12. The budgeted for 44. So 44 minus 12 is 32.
I can update that.
All right, perfect, thank you. We'll move on to fire.
Okay. Okay, in respect to the fire department has 24 members. I count as a half of the member. There's 3 platoons. Each contain a battalion chief, a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 4 firefighter paramedics. The administration works 8-hour shifts. Department has 1 station. Obviously, everyone knows that, on 9 Mile. On average, the fire department, they respond to about 6,000 calls a year, which is a lot for 1 station. And that includes all our medical runs. MedStar is in charge of our transport. Sarisa does the dispatching. And we do have auto aid with St. Clair Shores and Roseville Fire Departments. So in the event we get a house fire or a business that's on fire, no matter what, one of those cities will respond with East Point and assist. Sometimes both cities will respond. It all depends the severity of the fire and the location of the fire. But no matter what, we always have backup. And same goes for their cities. If they get a house fire, our firefighter paramedics, they respond and they assist them. It's a great concept. Statistics for the fire department, you'll see in 3 years, one great thing is last year we had 0 fatals. Calls for service, you could see those are going up. From 2019, you had 4,800 calls. Now we're at 6,100 calls. And the medical runs, too, have increased significantly from 2019, from 3,450 to 45. So almost 900 and some odd medical runs have gone up. So, you know, for a fire department with 1 station, the volume of calls, I got to tell you, they do an outstanding job there. We achieved many goals in 2021. We formulated a recruitment team. We sat down with all the firemen. We're trying to come up with some ideas how to make East Point more marketable. We added 3 fire instructor 1-level trainers. We added 1 EMS instructor. 1 sergeant completed fire inspector 2. 3 firefighters completed fire officer 2 training. The deputy chief is working on his professional emergency manager certificate. He's almost done with that. He completed all the classwork. Our fire marshal completed fire investigation training, and the department overall received over 7,800 hours of training. One of the goals, too, is with all the command structure there with the sergeants, lieutenants, and battalion chief, my goal is to get a more professional training. We're looking at our police officers, the lieutenants go to the police staff and command school. I'd like to do the same for the fire, the battalion chiefs. You can learn a lot. It's an 11-month school. It's the greatest management school out there. But I want them to go to more leadership classes, and they have been, and it's been working out very well, but it's never enough. The primary goals for next fiscal year, we want to continue enhancing the recruitment process. We'd like to have some training with the police department. We do a lot with the fire department, but we never have training with them, and we really should. Yes, it may cost some overtime a couple times a year, but it's well worth it. We want to develop more community outreach programs with the fire department. I talked about the leadership schools. I'd like to have more open houses. They've done so many changes at the fire department. It's actually it's beautiful there. And COVID ruined everything for us the last 2 years, but we're getting back in the saddle again. We want to continue with our smoke alarm CO2 program. We want to have more in-person fire prevention programs within the schools. One of the biggest goals for next year is we want to purchase a new engine, and we want to continue building improvements. As I stated before, probably one more year, the building improvement is done. And the new engine we'll talk about very shortly here. The current staffing levels for the fire department, as I stated before, there's 24. That includes the director. I have 1 firefighter in training, and as of today, I have 1 vacancy. So we have 2 administrators and 1 inspector, 3 chiefs, 3 lieutenants, 3 sergeants, 12 firefighter paramedics. We have a part-time clerk, and I've also assigned a chaplain to the fire department. The only major changes in the fire budget, if you look at all the line items, everything's pretty consistent. Actually, some of the line items came down a little bit. I'm requesting the purchase of a new engine. Council approved the purchase of a ladder truck. That was, over a year ago. They're still building it. They're building the platform part right now, the ladder part. It takes a good year and a half to over 2 years to build a truck. And one of the downsides is the price for the truck keeps escalating. I want to say it went up, since we got this quote of $695, it went up, I think, 6% because the motor costs more now. So, but we wanted to be fair. We put $695. We can always cut back on some of the options. We'd rather have more options on the ladder truck that we purchased. But so you have 2 engines in the fire department, and you have 1 ladder truck. The ladder truck will be brand new by October. We will buy a new engine, which, by the way, it's a 2004. We paid $332,000 back in the days, 2004, for it. It has 81,000 miles. That's a lot of miles for a fire truck, and 10,490 engine hours. We've invested $41,000 in repairs in the last 16 months. That's ridiculous. That's just a bad investment. We average $2,500 a month in this truck in maintenance costs. Again, every year, the price of a new truck's 5 to 8%, and it will take 18 to 24 months to build. The goal is we get approval for this truck. We probably won't have it for 2 years. You know, that's safe to say 2 years. By that time, this truck is going to be ready. I don't even know if we can sell it. We have 1 other engine. That engine's good. I would say it has a new engine because the other one it had a blown engine. They put a brand new one in there. That truck should last at least 5, 6 more years. So that's the good news. But these trucks, if taken care of, well, if they're well maintained, they should last 20 years minimum. After 25 years, they recommend they're out of service. NFPA standards, it goes out of service. But at $41,000 in maintenance in 16 months, that's not a good number. And again, it will take 2 months. If we can lock in a price at today's rate, that would be great. If we wait another year or 2, you may be looking in the high 7s. So that was one of the major change in the budget. And then we want to lease the battalion chief a new vehicle. I put $800 a month. It's could be a little high, maybe more in the 7s. The battalion chief, their vehicle's getting old too. That needs to be replaced. We'll go through enterprise. And again, the time we get that could be 8 to 10 months down the road, maybe a year, the time we put our order in.
I have a question.
Sure.
So for the battalion chief's car, for his truck, do you know what the approximate cost to buy it new would be?
Well, we were looking at a Tahoe. Governmental pricing for a Tahoe is probably in the low 40s.
Okay. And then my second question is how many miles do they put on, do you know, average, like weekly, yearly, monthly? It doesn't matter.
That's a good question, but I can get you that answer.
Okay.
Those are take-home vehicles, so they aren't just driving around town. They're going back and forth to wherever they live. So they put on more miles than just putzing around.
Well, that's the deputy chief. He's got the take-home. The battalion chiefs, that remains in the station. That's the difference.
Would the miles be similar to the fire truck then?
They're up there. They're up there because the battalion chief responds in a separate vehicle every time they go to a run. So when you hear all these sirens, you have the battalion chief, then you have an engine, then you have the ladder truck following.
All right, so can you go back really quick, just so we can see how many, okay, so it's 81,000 miles.
It is
for
81,000.
18 years.
Yes. 81,000, it's an 04, so it's 18 years old. The time it's built, it's going to be 20 years old. You know, I'll be honest, there should have been a replacement schedule back years ago, because these are huge ticket items, they are. But it's a necessity, but when you start investing, you know, and throwing away $41,000 every year and a half, and that number's just going to go up, it's just a bad investment, you know.
I have another question about the battalion chief's vehicle.
Yeah.
So what year is the battalion chief's vehicle that he's driving?
Let's see, I have it, I should have it here. No, I don't have it. I do not have that. I can get you all.
On it over a span of 18 years. I mean, let's say it's even a little bit more, you know, because obviously they might take it out a little more frequently than the engine. So, you know, let's say they're even doing 10,000 miles a year. We might be better off purchasing the vehicle
Yeah.
instead of leasing it. And that's where I was kind of going at, because at a lease rate of $800 a month, I mean, we're looking at, that's like almost $10,000 a year to lease it, and we'd have it paid off in 4 years that way.
Yeah, there's definitely certain vehicles in the city. I love the lease program, but there's certain vehicles that shouldn't be in the lease program. You're right. Some of these vehicles are only being driven 8,000-9,000 miles a year, which is nothing. I mean, you can just buy them and keep them for 8 years.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, in your opinion, like the battalion chief's vehicle, that's why I was wondering how old the one was he was in now.
Yeah, I can get that. I had the sheet here. I don't know. I have so many forms here. I don't know what I'm. But I can get that.
Thanks, you can continue.
And then we also talked about hiring an additional firefighter, and the reason I want to do that is succession planning. I mean, I'm looking at possibly 3 to 4 firefighters command retiring next year. And if that's the case, if they all go at the same time, we're in trouble. I thought it was difficult hiring a police officer. It's more difficult to hire a firefighter. I think the last pool, what do we have, Mike? 2 applicants, 3 applicants? That's it.
Yes.
And most of these, and the reason being is we request a paramedic license. A lot of these young kids getting out of school, they don't want to get a paramedic's license. They go to the fire academy, they just want to go to work. They don't want a paramedic's license, which takes about a year, and you're almost a nurse. And if you told me tomorrow, hey, go get your paramedic license, George, you know, it's time for me to go fishing because I don't want any part of that. And that's the difficult part about the job. And, you know, this is a busy town. I mean, it's a busy town. And we're competing against other agencies, you know. But one good thing is we're not transporting. That takes a lot of, but our firefighters go on most of the medical runs. They're all paramedics. A lot of times they get there before MedStar and they take over until MedStar gets there, which is a good thing. But there's a lot of training involved, and that's the difficult part about it. Just it's the paramedic license, I think. And plus, there's so many trades open right now that are paying a lot more than a fireman or a police officer, and it's just there's just more money out there. You know, it's just a different way of thinking for the young people getting out of college. You know, there's so many jobs that are open right now, and this is something you have to work at. These are tough jobs, and that's why it's so difficult to recruit. This is the worst it's been in my 36-year career. trying to hire a police officer or firefighter, you know?
I have a question about that also. So like in other cities that don't require their firemen to be a paramedic, do they pay their firemen less money?
As a matter of fact, there's a lot of cities that are paying a substantial, the salaries is substantially greater than what I think Warren, their firemen are getting in the high 80s and low 90s. And that's another, see, it's just hard when you're competing against cities like that, Warren just hired 20 police officers, but they have lateral entries, they have pensions, they have retiree medical. It's just, it's difficult to compete. But that's where we come in. We offer this. We're giving our people more opportunities here. You want experience, you come here. You want to do this, you want to do that, you want to move up, you come here. And that's what keeps it. Plus, it's the environment within the departments, their families. It's smaller departments. You get to know each other better. That's why people stay here, because they like the environment, the culture. Whereas these big departments, you may not get to know half the department your whole career. So. But that's why I wanted the extra fire person, is just to be ready. Because honestly, if we posted for firemen last week, 10 days ago, we have 3 applicants. One is eligible, 2 are not. The time you do the psychological, you're talking a year from now that the fireman is, and he's got the probationary period. It's just a long time. So we just like to get ahead of the game. I just hate to be behind the 8 ball all the time. I just want to be proactive and have some kind of succession plan in place. When we do lose a battalion chief or 2, or maybe a lieutenant to retirement next year, people are ready to go in the positions. And that's it for fire. Other than that, everything is the same, a little bit less. Those are the 2 main, and we're asking for that exhaust system. That was $52,000. $54,000. The reason we're asking for that is right now each truck has its own self-contained exhaust system, but when we buy these new trucks, we'd have to modify the truck to get on the same system, and we lose the warranty. That they won't warranty the truck. So the air will be a lot cleaner. We may look at, it says 54, but we're going to try for an AFG grant for that. I'd say we're probably about 60 or 70%. I would bet that we would get the grant approval for that, but I just don't want to say that and it backfires. But I'm pretty confident something like that, a health and safety thing, we can get funding for that, grant funding for that. So,
Council, you have any questions? Well, I guess, okay. I guess my biggest question that I was kind of working towards before was the battalion chief's vehicle. I'm leaning towards that we should just purchase it, because I think long-term, it's gonna cost us probably $80,000. I mean, it would cost, if we leased the one for 8 years, it'd cost $80,000. If we could go buy one outright for 40. So, I mean, I don't know how the rest of the council feels, or what the director thinks, if he thinks that would be okay to do.
I have no issue with that. I mean, as long as the vehicle's kept in good shape, we'll know when to sell it. And right now, if you go sell a used car, it's crazy what they're paying you.
Right.
So no matter what, it's going to be a win-win situation. I just want to get them a new vehicle.
And it's not like the battalion chief, I mean, I know obviously he's like speeding and stuff, but he's not like chasing people, it's not like.
No.
Like a police car gets a lot more wear and tear
No,
than like a battalion chief's vehicle.
No, we don't
Mr.
chase.
Blum, what would your opinion be on doing something like that?
I would concur that type of vehicle makes more sense to purchase and hold for, if you hold it for 8 years, because these are done on a 5-year lease, so after 5 years it would be turned in and you'd be getting a new one. So if you buy and hold on this, it would be better.
Yeah, and I know in the past, like when we've talked about fire vehicles, I think we've kind of been leaning towards more of the purchasing, except for, I know we approved the fire chief, but, so that's the only thing I would change in the budget. in the proposed budget that he gave us. I believe that police vehicle was in our budget.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair.
If you were about to make the same motion I was going to.
I'll let you do it.
Motion, we approve the fire budget then with just the one change of, instead of leasing the battalion chief, we purchase when need be.
Please call the roll.
Wait a minute, I want to ask a question. Are we given, apparently with your motion, we're not giving, unless you want somebody else to make it, of buying a new engine?
Well, that's included,
It's in there already.
just not the extra firefighter position.
Yeah, okay.
But the trucks.
So your motion's about the vehicle?
Well,
Okay,
it includes the new engine and just the one
Right.
change of just the battalion chief
Right.
pickup truck.
I got you. All right.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes. Council, really quick, we're at an hour and a half. Do you guys want to take a 10-minute break before we get to the longest departments? Or, we'll finish
I have
that. That's
animal,
right,
I have
Yeah,
animal
still
control.
animal control.
Yes.
I can get that done in 5 minutes.
Page 35.
What's going to be long, you said?
Okay. It's not on.
Hey, are you still up there?
Yeah. He likes to talk a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to cut this short, trust
What?
me.
You want a chair or something?
No, I can use a monster. In respect to the animal control, we have one full-time civilian officer. She's certified under the Department of Agriculture. That means we have our own kennel at the PD, and we can only hold up to 3 dogs. That's their rules, the Department of Agriculture, and typically the hold period is 4 days. So usually the dog pen is filled up. We do our best, we find the owners, and we place the dogs with other agencies, adoption agencies. The Animal Control Division, they investigate dog bites, loose dogs, barking dogs, neglect, abuse, vicious animals. They do compliance reports, neighbor issues with animals, dead animals, assist with canvassing. A lot of responsibilities for one person. As you look at the stats for 2021, the Animal Control Division had 570-plus calls for service. She issued almost 200 citations. Intake for dogs was 236 dogs. Intake for cats was 36, wild animals and deceased, 46. I contacted City Hall last week, and I was notified that we almost have 2,500 dog licenses out there right now. That's just reported. And I would bet this number's under 50%. So that's a lot of dog licenses, that are reported. Our goals achieved for 2021, we created new violations and worked in conjunction with our court. We made several relationships with local rescues. We remodeled the animal control area, and we aggressively use our animal control Facebook page. When we find a dog, that dog's on there instantly, and for the most part, if you can see, we reunited 84 animals with their owners last year by using social media. Our primary goals for next year, I want to establish a contract with a local animal shelter to ensure that all our dogs have a kennel to be placed in without delay. That is in process. We have been talking with the Michigan Humane. They have numerous offices, one in Westland, one in Rochester. They can hold, the Westland facility can hold up to 400 dogs. And what's nice about this company, corporation, whatever you want to call it, they will take any animal, an injured animal, a vicious animal. They will take any breed of animal. That's one of our biggest issues that we have right now, is most of these placement places, they only take certain dogs. They love the little cute ones, but the big ones they don't want. They don't want the large pit bulls. Any dog has some kind of injury or even it shows his teeth or a little aggressive, they don't want it. So that is a hindrance on us, and that is why we would like to partner up with somebody. We're only talking on an average, maybe 3 to 10 dogs a month we would turn over to them, but that would certainly help us with our issues. I would like to educate the public on the importance of animal vaccinations and microchipping. And I also, the educational brochures, that's in progress right now. We're going to have brochures, the library, the PD, everywhere people can pick up anything you want to know about animals. It's in this brochure, phone numbers, names. The main thing in this budget, I would like to hire a part-time animal control officer to enhance the program. We figure the cost would be about $27,500. And you're going to ask me why you want to hire a part-time, George. Well, I got to tell you, I've been here long enough to evaluate what we have, and I got to tell you, one officer and you know how many dogs are in this community, we can't keep up every single day, and it's not just, it's loose dogs, animal bites, vicious dogs, dead dogs, one person, Monday through Friday. I think her hours are 8 to 4. So what that means is there's nobody working animal control from 4 o'clock on to the next day and weekends. What this animal control officer would bring us as a part-timer would improve the level of service. When this officer would overlap the shifts, so he or she would work nights. So if our officer gets off at 4, this officer could work at 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday, or some weekends, Saturday, Sunday. This officer will have the proper training. Our police officers, they don't have any training from the Department of Agriculture. They need 100 hours of training. They're not trained to manage vicious dogs. We do our best. I mean, we got in a wrestling match with a couple pit bulls last week. That wasn't pretty, but the main thing is to have somebody that's trained in the job, part-time, to overlap the shifts, to work some weekends. You have a much better service, and it keeps the police officers on the street. Sometimes when we're trying to track down a dog running around the neighborhood, that takes 30 or 40 minutes. The officer's out of service. Then that's all I need for them to do is get bit, and then they're going on workers' comp, and they're going to be, the shift is short. But in theory, can I use 2 full-time officers? Yes, but again, I want to be reasonable, and I can probably look at some other areas of the animal control budget, because I'm going to give money back this year, where we can cut it down. Maybe this 27.5 can go down to 19.5, maybe less. But you will definitely have a better program. You will have less complaints. And again, I want someone out in the street all day and most of the night, Monday through Friday and some weekends. We're cheating the residents. We're cheating the animals. I mean, I just want to have the best program that we can have. And I think by adding a part-time officer to the program, it certainly would change the dynamics, and it would be certainly an advantage for our community members.
Director,
Go ahead.
are we going to be able to find a part-time? Didn't we have trouble for a while finding an animal control officer? We'll be able to find a part-time.
Actually, last time we posted the position, I'm trying to think how we did it, if it was full-time or part-time. We had a number of applicants. The only thing we can do is try, and at least I can say I tried, and if nobody wants to work here part-time, and there's a lot of animal lovers out here, and the 100 hours of training, it's just a couple weeks of training. It's not much, and the pay's decent. I think it will work. I mean, we can try, but it will definitely make the program better. We just, we give out a lot of kennel licenses in this community. There's a lot of homes in here that have 5 and 6 dogs. And for a lot that's 50 by 110, that's a lot of dogs for a little piece of property. But there's a lot of homes here that they don't even bother registering the dogs here at the city. That number I had, that 2,500 number, like I said, I bet you that's maybe 50%. Because most people, they just don't care. They're not going to license the dog or microchip them. I mean, can you imagine if everyone microchipped the dog? I mean, we could send them back to the owner every day, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I'm hoping the dog I found was one of the 84 you mentioned, but I don't want to know.
I think it was the 82nd one. It was the 82nd one. But but honestly, I can make this 27,005. I can probably do it for 19, maybe less. Because
I have a question.
yes,
So, is there any way, so right now we have 3 kennels, right?
yes.
Is there any way that we could expand that if we did hire another part-time?
No, based on the square footage, no.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, at nighttime and the weekends, our police service aides have to leave the desk. They have to walk the dogs to go to the bathroom a couple times a night. They have to feed them. So it's like taking care of an infant.
Yeah.
And we do take, well, it's like a motel in that garage. I mean, I want to
know,
move
I've
in
seen
there.
it.
I was ready to move in myself. Sure one too, but I would make a request that that's approved as submitted, because I still have to do a drug forfeiture budget.
Well, that's the two police officers, isn't it?
That's about it. And there's some operating costs too, I mean, for equipment. But it still has to be approved, right, Mr. Blum?
Council have any questions about the drug forfeiture?
Well, and also, I was just gonna say, I think we approved the one position, but not necessarily the motion was to approve the animal control budget.
Oh, no, we didn't. I would move to approve the animal control budget.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes?
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes. Can I get a motion for the drug forfeiture budget?
For what?
I'm not making the motion, I'm voting no. From the discussion earlier.
So yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the drug forfeiture budget.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
No.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
All right.
And Madam Mayor, if I might,
Thank you.
maybe we should take 5 minutes. Some of us have to go to the bathroom.
No, that's completely fine. So we'll take a 10-minute recess. It's 7:41. We'll all come back at 7:51.
Thanks for the 20 minutes.
All right, so the time is 7:53, and we'll call the meeting back to order, and we will start with Director Palucci, and with DPW Roads, Water, Sewer, and Parks. I guess we'll start with DPW today.
Council, administration. You know, I wanted to give George a shout out. You know, it's a honor to follow such a seasoned veteran, but he left, so where are we at there? So the budget that is before you are projects we coordinate and we prioritize with AW to improve our infrastructure. I'll only highlight the capital projects and purchases that you may not be familiar with or you have questions with. So we can start with local roads. And I left a map up there for you because that seems to be a pretty hot topic. So that's our PACER map. And, well, you know what? I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I'm going to go with staffing. So over at the DPW, under our umbrella, we have 23 employees. 5 of them are part-time, so 18 full-time employees. We are not requesting any additional staffing this year. Right, great. So we'll go to the local roads. Yeah, we'll go to the local roads because that's a hot topic right now. You have the PACER map in front of you, and that's how all the roads are rated. Every time we come to a council meeting, somebody wants to talk about why their road is not getting done, and right there's the explanation. If it's failed, we're not doing anything with it, unfortunately. But every year, we are going to put one we're going to try to put one into the budget to get done. And this year, it was Almond Avenue, and it actually got paved today. Yes. So, the other map behind it is the area that's blackened out. You can see those are the roads that we're doing, and that's the sections that we are taking.
I'm surprised Almond wasn't the first sentence.
Well, a good thing about Almond was we also separated the sanitary sewer and the storm. So that's a plus there. So we did road and a bit of sanitary separation.
So okay, I think I've been confused about our stance on that. I thought when we've talked to AEW before, they said we were going to...
Well, there's only so many areas you can do it because the storm is so far away from the sanitary system. So that was one of the areas that we could do it, and we did do it.
Well, I thought we've talked about it, or unless we need to talk about it again, because I thought we could even just, if we can't connect immediately, we might as well, when we're doing roads, put the pipes in and then connect it.
That is correct. We talked about that on 9 Mile now, so that we're going to put a separate there, and then when we eventually do that, the subdivisions can fall in the 9 Mile and be separated. Yes, that's what we want to plan for. That's what Candace Miller keeps pushing. That's what we all want to do.
So I have a question, because I swear when we talked about the reconstruction of 9 Mile, we were told we could not do that. So you're saying we can?
We're not doing it. We're just planning ahead for it. We're going to put the manholes there, and so in the future, if we ever go that route, we won't have to tear up 9 Mile to do it.
So I guess my question is, so let's say if we went ahead and did that, and we put that in, like, are we going to be able, like, let's say we could reconstruct Cortland, which runs right into 9 Mile. Would we be able to connect those separately then into Cortland?
Is Cortland coming to 9 Mile?
Yes.
It's the first one west of
Yes. Yes, you would be able to.
Okay.
The ultimate goal is it has to go somewhere, and right now it's too far away from a separated system to do that. The only separated system we have is the northeast corner of the city.
Right, so I mean, actually, right now, if we did Cortland, I guess we probably could connect into that system, because that's between Almond and the area you're referring to.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes. Okay, so that local roads comes into the concrete pavement repair grant program, which we were just talking about. And that's kind of an explanation of how we're doing it. We do 2 years in 1 year now, which we all agreed on. The Almond Avenue we just spoke about, and that's it for local roads.
I have a quick question about the PACER map, because I think I was trying to compare. Do we actually have the numbers 1 through 10, or did we change from when we did it in like 17 where we actually had 10 different colors? I mean, it's hard to look at when there's 10 colors.
It reads difficult. I agree with you. I wish they would have gave us a 1 through 10 and not combined the 3s and the 4s and the 4 and 5s.
Because then it's hard to tell if something went down or like went from a 4 to a 3 or.
I agree with you on that.
Do we don't actually have that?
No, we don't. This, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of this map, this one was actually done in 2022. I just got this done.
Oh, we need to rename it.
But no, they don't give you the 1 through 10 all individually. I wish they did.
Oh, okay, so these, oh yeah, 4/26, 2022. We gotta change the title.
Yes.
But,
Oh, yeah.
oh, okay, so this is like a third map then, because I think we've got 17, 20, 22 now then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So as far as major roads, we know what's going on major roads. We'll start with the 9-mile traffic signal modernization, 10-mile traffic signal modernization, Kelly traffic signal modernization. There's no questions there. The 9-mile reconstruction from Beechwood to Gratiot. We know what's all going on there. There's a few delays because of water main and gas main placements. So,
So moving forward, should we get a motion to approve local and major roads?
Actually, I had one quick question before we do that. Actually, I did have a local streets question. What is the green space universal that we have in the local street projects?
new one for me.
No, we were talking about, instead of reconstructing it, local universal, we should put that out. It was an idea.
We've talked about it. I don't know if the church and the school is going to agree with all of that, because that's,
Tell them what it is.
oh, okay, yeah, they were talking about getting rid of the road, which is the only one-way road in the city, and making it all green space.
Was that our idea or was that their idea?
I think this was our idea,
Of how to not reconstruct, because we didn't have the money.
because that road has failed, you see it?
Oh, we know, yeah, we all know that road.
So,
And the
actually, I
sidewalk
have a
is-
question about that road, because so right now, like that road, obviously there's a lot of traffic on that road at pickup time from school, and that's one of the reasons why it's always been a one-way road, is to keep the traffic flowing for the school pickup for the parents. And I know we don't have the money to reconstruct it, but, I mean, would we be able, because that road is terrible, and it's very, in my opinion, it's dangerous to even walk across when you have seniors going to that church that cross the street there, because they still park in that school parking lot. So I guess my question would be, would there be a way to, even though I'm not a huge fan of this, of just, refinishing it with like asphalt?
So a mill and fill.
Yeah.
Definitely, we can get a price on that. And you'd be safe there, because the water main is underneath the sidewalk already. So even if you did have water main breaks, you wouldn't be tearing up a brand-new road. Topher is brand new, so you got a brand-new sanitary and storm going through there. So yeah, I can definitely get a price for a mill and fill on that.
It's really, really bad. I mean, and it's such a small spot. Like, it's not a long piece of road right there along the church.
It was really on our agenda when we were doing those mill and fills, and then I brought it to Mr. Abraham's attention that nobody lives on that road. So he kind of we changed directions on that one.
No, you're right, but I mean, the school is there. There's a school on that road, so. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, we only had
it's
3
fine.
roads at the time that we could do, so we picked the worst and the most populated. I can definitely get some very fast pricing on that,
Okay.
on that local roads. Yep, and then major roads, just to touch base a little bit, we're gonna do some concrete repair on Hayes. Yeah, that was, we did an in-house estimate on that of $30,000. We think we can go in there, replace some panels, and get that road drivable.
Yeah, I saw that in here and, sent it pretty often.
Okay.
It's like, you think there's a speed bump for sure. 2 of the panels or something are like this high up or something like that.
Yeah, they move in the winter. And that's all I have for roads.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'll motion we approve major and local roads.
Or,
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Water and sewer? Okay. Water main projects this year are obviously 9 Mile from Beechwood to Gratiot. There's a delay in start because of the order of materials, but you've already approved that. You see our design on 9 Mile from Gratiot to Tuscany. And the big one would be the lead service line replacement program that I'd like to start, putting away $1 million a year in getting those lead service lines brought to copper. And then the continuation of our meter grade, our Badger meter upgrade system.
So do you know what percentage of the meters in the city have been upgraded so far with the program?
5,000 to date. I looked this morning. So 13,500, 5,000. We're really picking up pace. This COVID really, just getting in people's homes a lot more difficult now. And so that you're aware, we are actually sending out notices that we're going to shut your water off. We have been shutting water off, but we turn it right back on the same day when they make appointments. You can imagine how much work that is on us just to get into somebody's home.
And
So-
just so everyone knows, it takes about 11 minutes. That's how long they work my house.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, anyone have
Now-
any questions on that?
What was passed out reflects the changes. I sent that notice out a week or so ago. So we got the new sanitary district numbers, and we're able to reduce the projected water rates. So the yellow highlights are the changes that have been accounted for. So just so you know.
I made all these for you. I might as well give them to you. This is the location of all our lead service lines.
I didn't know this one.
Oh,
Fun math.
Actually, are we gonna, I think probably a question I meant to ask before, with this meter replacement, are we gonna be 100% sure of all the service lines? Because I thought
Yes,
part of
we
it-
are. So that is,
Okay.
part of that contract is to take a picture of the line
Yeah.
and identify it, whether it's lead, copper, galvanized.
Exactly.
Yes.
When I signed off, it was on there.
I feel that we're very ahead of schedule on this lead service line replacement program.
I mean, ahead of the 20-year
Right.
schedule we have.
13,500 divided by, I think it was 400 service lines a year. Yeah, we're ahead of that.
So it looks like a few good chances to get a bunch of blocks.
So when we're done upgrading the meters, we'll have a picture of every service line in every home.
What were the, Mr. Blum, then the increases for water and sewer rates and ready to serve? I know we had changed, but then I didn't know if it changed again because of.
Yeah, the water rate is going to go up 8.8%. Sewer will be 0. The blended rate is 2.9%. I am proposing a 2% increase in the ready to serve to generate additional monies for the construction projects. It has not been raised since 2017.
What was that overall again? You said 3.9.
2.9.
2.9.
And where are we at then too with the,
Right. Based on the 2022 budget, if things pan out as projected, we would end at about a $2 million operational balance. The biggest increase there was the refund from the sanitary district of $575,000, somewhere in there, $545,000. The goal was to be at about $2.5 million at the end of this 2023 budget. We will not get there, but we'll be close. So we're making good progress.
I thought we were allowed, wait, 2 million total, or just for the one fiscal year?
$2 million total. That's just the operational piece. We're still sitting on about $7 million for capital, just because of the delays in a lot of the projects.
Yeah.
But the plan is to spend the capital piece down with all the plans.
So how much did you say right now we have in there?
The operational cash balance is right around the $2 million, projected to be $2 million at the end of this fiscal year.
What is it like right now though, before this, at the end of this fiscal?
Yeah, I can.
So will we be increasing it next year?
It will go up, what's there for 2023 would cause a $208,000 increase in the operational fund balance. So we would end the year at about 2.2 million, and we were trying to get to 2.5 million.
Any more questions?
I still think, I think, well, because I voted against the first reading we had, just because I think still the water rates are too high. We voted just no for that.
So, I guess, if we, so the 208,000 that you're saying that it would increase this year, what percentage of the rate increase that you're proposing would be that 208,000? So like, let's say if we wanted to keep it status quo at 2 million, like it's gonna be at the end of this year, what would be the absolute lowest we could raise the water rate to keep it at 2 million?
Well, on the water side, the rate increase is going to generate about an extra 99,000 positive cash flow. We could drop it, it would be about a 10 cents per unit decrease over the proposed rate. I don't know what that percentage is off the top of that, but it would drop it about 10 cents a unit. The other increase is coming on the sewer side. That would be 103,000, which again would be about a 10 cents per unit decrease. So every penny change comes out to about $9,100 in revenue. So the overall change could drop 20 cents per unit. It probably would end up close to zero, maybe a rate reduction if we did it that way. But it would not build the fund balance up where it was targeted to be.
So you're saying that like if we did a 0% increase, it would probably keep the fund balance the same? It just wouldn't
It
increase
would be pretty close to it, yeah.
Hit the 2 million?
Yep.
Then that's what I mean, I understand the 2% increase for the ready to serve, because I understand you wanted to get more money in there for future projects, but the whole water rate increase in general, the 2.9, I don't know if we need, if we have 2 million, I think is a pretty substantial fund balance. I know you want to get it to 2.5, and to be honest, I think that it would go up a little bit more anyways, because our rates we're making progress this year on increasing our fund balance. So next year, we're still gonna increase it a little bit, just not to the 208,000. So we would be making a little bit of progress still towards it. I don't know what the rest of the council thinks. I know what you think.
If we don't do the increase, if we just keep we work to keep the fund balance consistent, are we hurting ourselves going forward by doing that, or are we gonna set ourselves up for a bigger increase going forward?
That's always the kicker. Getting it down to 2.9, when a lot of the things were going up 4% from GLWA, I thought we were very reasonable. And it did help increase the balance a little bit. The original projection before those changes was break even. It was a zero increase in the cash balance, and that was coming in at, I don't remember now, but 6.9, I want to say, increase. So the fact that we were able to reduce it down to a more reasonable number and still increase the fund balance, I was pretty pleased with that.
I was.
But
I mean, I'm
my
not,
decision.
I'm saying you did do a good job because, well, you were proposing it to be a lot higher than this, so. It would just be nice, I mean, to not raise water rates one year. I feel like we raised them a lot.
Don't raise them next budget when it's election year.
Yeah,
You're doing it a year too early.
Yeah.
I think you should have prefaced that like Councilman Curley did earlier. I know we're being recorded.
It's not something I wouldn't say in public.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess my biggest concern is because I don't wanna, I pay the same water rates as everybody else. But I don't wanna give myself sticker shock next year, by not doing the right thing now. What would that number be a year from now?
Well, going back to what the original number was before the sanitary district came in lower, that was a hard one to swallow, and that was just basically a break-even operation. So, it's a roll of the dice. At some point, you got to get caught up.
4 years ago, we increased 35% in 1 year, so.
Well, because we were 5 years behind on getting caught up, because everybody was trying to keep the rates down. So, eventually it does catch up to you.
That's what I'm thinking about right now. Are we gonna set ourselves up to be in a position, maybe not a jump as big as that, but, we don't pay the right amount now, we pay more later. Trust me, I don't like what I pay for water, but I know I have to do it. So, I just wanna make sure we're doing the best thing.
It was more than only not because we hadn't raised it for 5 years. There were higher costs on some things than there were for a few years in the water sewer department, but that are not as expensive now. So.
Thank you.
And I guess for me too is, I just don't want to hurt myself going forward. And then here we are again, we'll have our usual conversations about water increases. I think the fact that it's lower than what we thought it was going to be, makes me feel a little bit better.
Capital Planning 101, small increments, right? Just small increments. Nobody wants to take that 6%. Even more.
I guess I would. I'd be leaning more towards just leaving it as is, just so I don't have to worry about paying more or an even higher percentage the next time we come around to this conversation. That's just kind of how I'm leaning on it. Of course, it comes to a majority vote. I like saving money, trust me. It's 5 people in my house, so I know we use a lot of water. So, but I just want to do the most responsible thing. That's just my opinion about it, when it comes to majority vote stuff.
So, did you have anything else to say for water sewer right now?
No, that's it.
Do I have a motion?
All right, I'll move that we, accept the proposed budget for the water sewer. Water sewer proposed budget. Something like that. Anything else to that?
Do I have support? All right, motion fails. Someone else would like to propose another motion?
I think, let's see. A motion then that we accept the water and sewer budget, but with the amendment that we keep the water and sewer rates the same as they are this fiscal year.
I'll support that.
And, oh, sorry, one other thing, the ready to serve, we're keeping the 2% increase. Is that maybe what, okay. Water and sewer rates the same, 2% increase on ready to serve, I guess. That's my motion.
Do you still support?
So you're suggesting that the water rates remain the same as they are now?
Right, but increasing the ready to serve by 2%.
Oh, the ready to serve.
Yeah,
I'll still give you my,
so that's a motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
yeah.
Councilmember Baker,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes. Okay, and then we have, we never made a motion to approve DPW.
So moved.
Support.
He's actually got a couple of separate budgets. He's got parks, the sidewalk program, rubbish, and then the motor pool. That should all be at least discussed and.
No, I didn't know if DPW should be separate. Like
It's
you
not
said,
a,
there's no
it's not a
staffing
separate
either.
department.
Okay,
So,
then never mind.
yeah, that's kind of the umbrella of all his
All right.
people, so.
It is.
That's true.
Okay,
But no budget line changes at all in those departments. Which ones did you mention again? Parks there is.
Parks,
Yes.
sidewalks, rubbish, and motor pool.
No change in sidewalks, no motor pool,
Get a couple vehicles.
pardon? Let me look at
Page
motor pool real
72.
quick.
he's like, Randy's like, there's no vehicles.
No, 592537, so that's water sewer. So my mini excavator is under water sewer. My water meter truck was in last year's budget.
You have two F-350s.
That was in last year's budget that was approved.
Carryover, you're right.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe the trailer, that $24,000 trailer would go under motor pool?
It is. You've got front plows for 20 grand and the trailer for 24,800.
Yeah.
Oh, fuel tank removal, that's a big one.
Motor pool, yes.
Yeah. So we are looking to remove the unleaded underground fuel tank. We know the outer shell has rusted through, and we want to get it out of the ground before there's any underground contaminants. The idea is we would not replace it and move to the fuel cards, and they would just go across to the truck stop across the street and fill up over there.
It's a 30-plus years old. It's a tank that sits inside of a tank. The outer tank is leaking, bringing in water, so it's just a matter of time. We got some estimates on removal, but that's a tough estimate because of what they consider contaminated grounds. We would have AEW put that out to bid for removal. And then there was the security camera updates because our existing Pelco is becoming end of life.
Can I guess I feel like cameras comes up all the time, and I thought that we've like replaced the whole city.
So I'm the only department that has not been replaced.
Okay, I thought we did some DPW ones a couple of years ago, though, or,
We added some extra cameras, but they have not moved to the new system, so they're on the old system with the old hard drives that store the video footage.
This is just kind of a scope of work on that.
then all of the cameras in the city is what we're seeing?
Well, you can see right there, I'm the only one that hasn't been updated in the scope of work. And they tell us that they're not going to work anymore, and they're already falling off one by one. And when I have them come out to repair them, this is what they tell me.
I have a question. So it says 3 cameras in Parks buildings, or building.
So when we leased that building to J.J. Mitch, we did not put any cameras in that building. So now that we have that, we want to put cameras in there.
What's the generator also?
The generator is a backup generator for the DPW building, so the mechanics garage. We have one on our field operation building. We don't have one at Parks either. This is backup generators for the DPW building. So even when we lose power, if our doors are open, we can't go home because they won't shut. That's what that backup generator is. And that's been in the budget year after year.
Seems like one of the more important places that we should have a generator.
Well, the diesel fuel and the fuel tanks right now run off of the FOB building, which does have a backup generator. And the cameras run off the FOB building. Mm-hmm.
Move to Parks.
Did we want to approve?
Approve more.
Motion, we approve the motor pool budget?
Support?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
You know what? I was done writing, so I actually wrote in the budget book this time. Okay. So you can see that we started adding. The basketball courts are on schedule to start under construction next week. The fence went to Mitten yesterday, fence repairs. And the rest of the items are really what I just took from the Parks Commission master plan.
All right, so I have a question. So the fence repairs that you're referring to are which ones?
The ones that Rare might share some of the costs with us.
Okay.
That we brought to council, and we had AEW draw up or give us an estimated cost on that and allow us to put it out to bid.
Okay, so I guess that was my question. So a few years ago, we approved to use the $150,000 that we collect from our cell towers to put into parks.
Mhm.
And to this year, we only have budgeted approximately $68,000. But I know that we didn't have budgeted those fence repairs. So that's why I was wondering if that would be the difference in the cost was the fence repairs?
So they're having a meeting tomorrow, and they'll make that decision whether we take some of them and they take some of them, because some of them are at Memorial Field, and then Rare will absorb those or pay those. That's a discussion that's going to be had tomorrow.
So the other question is too, because I know like in our 5-year plan a few years ago, we discussed putting in like a water feature at Kennedy Park. So I guess my question is, are we saving money towards that, or would it be more feasible for us to be making these repairs in our parks and having like Rare aim to save the money to do a project like that?
So that's next year's budget. I saw that already. The saving of the money is more of a general fund question. So I don't know that answer.
I mean, if council wishes, we can designate any monies that we spend under the 155,000 as setting it aside for the, we'll call it a water feature, hopefully splash pad. And then it will, at least a portion of it will be ready to go when the project happens. But that's a simple designation at the end of the fiscal year, if you wish me to do that.
So yeah, I mean, unless the Rare votes not to replace the fence, then I would rather use the money this year to replace those fences. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, because they're dangerous.
Yes.
I know they're going to take some of it, we just don't know how much at this point.
Which, like I said, because if they're planning on doing like a water feature like that, then, or using the money towards that, because I know that's what they've been discussing, going back and forth, whether they're doing these repairs or putting that money aside to do a project like that.
Mhm.
So I guess that's where I was coming from, because then we wouldn't need to save that money if they're gonna put that water feature in at Kennedy Park, so.
I
For a
agree.
big project like that.
And I'm also hoping that the engineer's estimate is way above what it's going to cost to repair those fences.
All right, that's all I have.
We might need to have, though, a discussion again, because, well, I mean, I think it's good, we've done a few parks projects, but maybe we need to review the recreational master plan again at some point, because, well, I was hoping to do it before, or just look at it one more time again before today, but I think we should start planning some more things in here again. I know we've got, the basketball court and the splash pad, but other than that, pretty minor.
I believe the swings and the barbecues were in the recreational master plan, if I'm not
And the practice field is quite a bit. If we want to build a practice field to keep them off the other fields, that's a good amount.
Yeah, no,
Right,
I'm not saying these aren't in there, but
Yeah.
we're gonna run out, I mean, other than the 3 for this year, we've got nothing planned like in future years.
Like I said, the splash pad was in next year's.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, other than the splash pad and the basketball court.
Okay.
I was saying, there's not really,
I mean, there's
Anything.
numerous of park repairs that need to be done. I mean, there is with leveling cement
Sure.
and making things ADA compliant in our parks and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of like those style of projects.
There is.
that-
I mean, on camera, I feel that the parks have been neglected a little bit, and, we're doing what we can to bring them back, because I go to Spindler Park every single day, and the residents use it.
Yes. And I know a lot of residents wish there was like even like a pay or a blacktop walking path at Kennedy Park, and maybe they would use it there as they go to Spindler because they don't have one at Kennedy.
Can definitely look into some grants on that.
Yeah.
oh, and I'm saying, Darren, we've done a lot in the last few years, just wanna make sure we
Continue.
keep going, yeah.
We are.
Not that we haven't done it.
Oh, and actually, now that we're speaking about this too, so, we get our CBGG funds. And I feel like the last few years, we've been kind of trying to do like projects with them that aren't in our master plan and not in our parks master plan. And then we're just like trying last minute to kind of shuffle around. I was wondering if we should go back to trying to use those towards, now that we have Darren up there, into road projects again like we used to in the past.
I personally feel that's where it's most utilized, $150,000 on a $450,000 project, yes.
Because it would just help us move along with replacing more roads.
It'd be a little easier on the local road money, yes. I gave you the map. You can see all the roads that have failed. There's no patch repair on those. Those are total reconstruction. besides the fact, maybe Universal, we can do a mill.
All right, well, right, Ms. Walton just said that we would be going through CBG later, so.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have anything for Parks?
No.
Anything else for DPW?
No.
No, any questions on the capital purchases, the excavator, the software? Okay.
Sounds like you want to say something.
No, I don't. I wanted to bring it up.
All right, can I get a motion to approve DPW?
So moved.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
We need a separate one for Parks.
Need a what?
We still need the rubbish and sidewalks.
So no line items on.
Parks, rubbish, and sidewalk.
And then motion to approve the parks, rubbish, and sidewalk
Support.
budgets.
Support.
Motion support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item I, finance and access.
It's going to take me a little bit to move out of here.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, by the way, thank you for all the maps.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'll give you another one. We're here.
Bonus map
Oh, another one?
I'll take it.
of maps.
The cleaning and camera of all the sewers, I want to let you know where we're at.
Oh, yes.
Very nice.
I've seen people on Facebook wondering.
I love your
Yeah,
color
trucks
choice.
What are they
on their
doing?
Side street.
Okay.
All right, I guess we'll move to
Okay, we're moving
Mr.
on.
Blum.
Yeah, so I've got finance and assessing and then a bunch of miscellaneous ones, so don't cut me off at the end of assessing.
Just talk.
What if we have a lot of questions for accessory?
Yeah,
We might.
okay.
All right, so accounting starts on page 7. It's a status quo budget, same staffing. There's really not much that interests me in there, but if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot.
Nope.
We're not asking for anything new.
Anyone have any
Nope.
questions?
No?
Okay. Assessing starts on page 9. This is the, what's reflected is the contractual obligation for the assessing contract. So there is an increase, but it's in the contract. The percentage is already agreed to. So that is reflected there.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. I also have the insurance fund, which is on page 13. That is where non-public safety, general retirees fall, as well as general employee workers' comp and general liability. The one thing I do want to point out is there is a decrease in retiree hospitalization, which is a reflection of the change council approved that took effect January 1st of this year. So we are seeing the benefit of that change.
Any questions on insurance?
No.
Okay, citywide, city hall, page 14. That is things that are either city hall specific with repairs and maintenance, or things that are considered to be citywide and not designated to a specific department. The largest item in there is the retirement contribution for non-public safety employees, and then the principal and interest on the city hall loan. Again, nothing too interesting. Retiree is down slightly. But any questions on that one?
No.
All right. Street lighting, page 48. Let's jump ahead a bit. So this is the street lighting special assessment. We've got the revenue is flat. The electric costs have been going up, so there's an increase in that. And then we are looking to do street lighting replacements. We're trying to get CDBG money for some solar lights, and then the city would be paying a portion of that project. The idea is that we would be at the end of the 3-year assessment, and this fund should be at zero at the end of the 3 years. And that is our goal, is to spend it and then get it renewed.
All Are lighting costs like much higher? I mean, I thought, because we haven't installed any
No.
new streetlights,
Nope.
right?
It's just the DTE rate increases. They're going up 4 to 5% a year.
And because then we budgeted each year. I think we have budgeted for replacements, at least for a couple years now.
Yeah, we had gotten into a deficit in this fund, so we stopped replacement until we got out of it. We should be out of it at the end of this fiscal year, which will then allow us to do some replacements again, or some additions. Again, we're looking at the solar lights, so we don't have easement issues and all that fun stuff.
Okay.
MIDC, page 51, that is the Indigent Defense Fund. It's a grant from the state. Again, it's all the cost related to the defense, court-appointed defenders, and then the state grant money that comes in. We do have excess funds sitting there, which is why the grant money is not equal to the expenditures. We have to chew up some of the overages from prior years. The goal for that is we should always be at zero. So that's just state money on that one. CDBG is page 57.
Wait,
Whoop.
sorry, back to
I'll go back.
Yeah, because isn't it saying we're spending? Well, aren't we? Isn't it like 240,000 in the hole, or am I backwards here?
For
The individual-
23, we're going to use up 173,000 of the excess funds. Oh, it depends. If you go back into 2021, there was some accounting adjustments that had to be made. It was an audit adjustment for deferred revenue, so it made the actuals look kind of funky. We're actually sitting on almost $450,000 of state grant money that needs to be used up.
Oh, and it's just not accounted? Because shouldn't the ending fund balance be high then? How come it says negative 77,000?
Well, the actual accounting for 2021 required me to defer the unspent court funds or the unspent grant money. But then I had to adjust it to bring the fund balance to zero. The reality is I was sitting on about 450,000 of state money. So the zero is a misnomer, but it's an accounting requirement to book it that way. So this year, we're projected to use 77,000 of the state, of the excess money, but you won't really see that until 2022 formally closes out and all the accounting entries are done. It's just, it's hard to explain it when you're talking journal entries, year-end journal entries, and how it has to happen for GASB requirements.
So you're basically saying that 77,274 is going to come out of that,
Of the excess funds, the 172,000 will come out of the excess funds until we get it down to a $0 amount. Yep.
All right, take your word for it.
Call Tim up at Plant Moran, he might be able to explain it better. Page 57 is CDBG, we're projecting 150,000 in funds. We don't have any project specified because that's not how we budget for it. We just budget a $0 activity in that one. And then the next page, 58, is the brownfield redevelopment. That is the 9 Mile and Kelly property where we capture taxes, use it to repay a loan. That is a 15-year loan that we are about 11 years into at this point. So, and that's all the ones I'm talking about.
anyone have any questions? Can we get a motion to approve finance and accessing? And every other department, Mr. Blum spoke about?
Yeah, I'll motion we approve the budgets for finance, assessing, insurance, MIDC, brownfield,
CBDG.
CDBG, and do we do chapter 20 drain or no?
Oh, no, we didn't do that.
Okay, so not that one, all the rest of them.
Well, we can talk about that and do it too.
Okay, I take it back, we'll talk about that and then,
Okay,
do motion.
I'll support
Yeah,
what
just
you
support
said
the
so
motion.
far.
Okay,
We'll come back to it.
all right.
Go ahead.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to chapter 20 then. Yeah, I did miss that one. That again is the debt millage that pays for all the county drain activities. This is one where we have, at the end of this fiscal year, we will have a little bit under $600,000 in fund balance. The plan is to use up another 19,000 of that. We need a little bit of a cushion to pay the bills, but it's probably needs to come down a little bit each year until, my goal is to have that down to about 400,000 of fund balance in this particular fund. So it's going to slowly decline. The millage rate is going to be I don't have it in front of me, 6.25 or 6.5, I don't remember now. But it'll be comparable to last year.
All right, I'll motion we approve the Chapter 20 Drain Maintenance Fund
Support.
budget.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes. All right, moving on to J, that's city manager, IT, and personnel, and I guess we'll start with Ms. Walton.
Thank you. So we'll start with city council budget. There were no large changes in that. Membership still stay the same, education and training also all stay the same. I can move on to city manager if you guys don't have any questions on that. All right. Let's see. Going to page 5 for the city manager. Again, not very many changes here. We did mention, we got information for training for the planning and zoning boards that we'd like to add. We're estimating about $5,000 each year to do training annually for planning and zoning and the zoning board of appeals. So we would ask to add the additional $5,000 for their training. That can be added into the city manager's budget for the training. But everything, again, stays status quo. We do have a request. Part of the other budget is AV that was not on here. We have a part-time employee that is the public information officer, and she has covered all of the jobs for the AV, along with the public information, and then a lot of engagement out in the community. So we are asking, as she's covered several of those roles, to transition that position into full-time as we're restricted with the hours that she's able to work. I can cover AV at the same time. There were no funds budgeted to AV as our current public information officer has covered those duties. Previously, we had 2 part-time employees that were actually students at the school. We had some concerns with the employees that we had just based on timing. Students, obviously, with the meetings having to run and be consistent, that was one of the concerns that we had bumped into with them being here consecutively at every single one of the meetings and on time. So we did have the public information officer that covers those, so there's no budget assigned to AV, and then we also did the upgrade, so there's no additional technology requested for that either.
What page is in the line item?
For AV?
Yeah. I thought
That's page, yep. Thank you,
what is it?
11.
Oh, 11, I'm going way too.
at the bottom side.
Okay, 11. Functions AV, okay. I thought I had a question about, oh, maybe it was from the, it was from the capital improvement budget, that's why. I see.
There was a line item that had the 100,000 still listed there. We talked about that. That'll be edited for the final.
We don't need it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Brandy and I actually talked about that going through it this morning. That will be removed. So it was removed initially from the write-up. It was just the chart that we had missed that on the proposed section, so that will be adjusted.
Okay, I was pretty concerned.
No, we don't want another $100,000.
guess I had one quick question about revenue. I think this was on, it's like on page 2, and I asked because we've kind of, I think it'd be related to a downtown thing we've talked about, the rental parking with the USPS and library. I guess I've never even seen an agreement with the post office. I don't know if I.
Funny that you
speaking out of
mentioned that.
We
turn
talked
here.
about it, but I don't ever seen anything.
Do they pay us well, it looks like 2020, 2021, they paid us
Yeah.
$9,000, I
They
guess.
pay us $750 every month, check shows up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've been on
There
the
is an
hunt.
agreement,
Yeah.
just can't be found currently, because they don't know
Yeah.
where it was filed from the previous administration. But it was renewed maybe 5 years ago.
And I guess minimally, I'm saying that even regardless of what the amount is, even though it seems like that's a pretty good deal, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know parking. But, so we know what it says in there if we're going to change anything in the parking lot, so.
Even the postmaster can't find a copy, so. But I could call Randy Altimus down in Georgia and see if he knows.
We've all spent quite a bit of time trying to locate it, even going through agendas and, yeah.
Send them a new one, just like add a 0 maybe. And see if they notice.
All right, and then did you want me to start into IT? I don't know if we have any questions. IT is similar, no changes. You will see an increase in the contract services. When we went out to bid last year, we did increase the requirement of an additional staff member. They've been looking to hire a permanent staff member. Since January, we've had Tyler, which is the vice president of EP Tech here in the building, assisting us. Service has been much better. We've been able to really start projects, update Wi-Fi, and moving along. So that is the one increase that you'll see in IT. And other than that, there are no other adjustments to that department.
I have a quick question about IT. When we approved that second one last year, I know obviously we were going through COVID and we were updating a lot of stuff. Is that going to be a permanent? Because, I guess, that was my question.
The second person?
Yes.
Yes, that is in the contract to provide service. So they'll have 2 people providing service through the length of the contract.
Okay.
This is still page 11 above, 2 departments above AV.
Okay, that's all I have.
We noticed, especially even during COVID, it was a lot just for Charles to handle. Every single building that we have in the city, every single department, all the needs, if there was an emergency, and the service just was not where we needed for every department. We've seen a significant increase, still improving, but a significant increase. And I think once we get the permanent person hired and trained up, but they also bring in additional service, I guess, on the outside. So they have people that can remote in, that can also handle additional issues. So they've been much more supportive than we've had previous.
Okay. Is that all you have?
And then attorney, I think I gotta go back. Attorneys on 10, you will see an increase on the legal fees. In the past couple of years, we've been over budget. One of the big things is the special prosecution that's been coming through. It's kind of hard to budget for. It's been different every single month. So there is an increase that we proposed of $25,000, but again, we may not be covering that because even in 2020, we were at $98,000. So you will see an increase there for legal fees. And then personnel, and we'll throw this over to Mike, handling HR.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council. No big changes in the personnel budget. Just a decrease in civil service fees as far as the employment expenses. As we become, fully staffed in positions, we won't have to refer people to, physical examinations and drug screenings and things of that such. The biggest change is probably going to be the, obtaining a learning management system. We see that as far as like doing training and development, sending people to, on-site locations to do training. It can be a cost to the, big cost to the city, but if we have a learning management system, a lot of companies will provide trainings, different type of trainings, harassment training, safety training, unconscious bias training, just different type of trainings on their platform, so that's ready there, and they can do the training at their desk. Versus we having to send people out to, different organizations to do training. And we could also, keep training and track training and keep everything in one central location as well, the cloud-based system.
Does council have any questions for Mr. McLeod or Ms. Walton?
Motion then that we approve the city council, city manager, IT personnel, and attorney budgets, and I guess let me know if I missed one.
Support that.
Motion and support, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Can I also add? So the $5,000 for the additional training is not included in the budget, and then the full-time public information officer is not either. So if council's interested in adding either of those into the budget, it would be another motion.
All the training, Mr. McLeod. Is it McLeod or McLeod?
It's McLeod.
Okay,
It's McLeod,
okay, I thought so.
for the record.
And I
think
heard,
I
I know I heard
said
McLeod the
I
other
think-
day, and I'm
no.
like, have I been saying this wrong the whole time?
I've been called McLeod, yeah.
All right.
Wait, and that was a yes to my,
No, so
Oh, that was different.
the additional $5,000 training is for, as we had mentioned at the planning commission. So we'll do the joint training with planning commission and ZBA, and then we'll do the separate training for planning commission and ZBA. So we're gonna do that annually. They've put that into their bylaws to train annually, especially if they get new members, to keep them up to date on the requirements. So that'd be an additional expense that we'd need to add into the budget.
So I would make the motion to add the 5,000 for training into the budget.
Support that.
Motion and support, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Okay, and then that, we'll move on to mayor and council report?
We have to do there was oh my gosh.
Oh.
The full-time, from the part-time person to full-time for the AV and all the other things that fall under that hat. What's the exact?
The public information officer? Yes, it is put in there as part-time now in the budget, so there would need to be another motion from council to move that from part-time to full-time.
Okay. Well, I think with all the meetings that we have and everything going on, I'd be in favor of that, so.
You're making a motion?
Well, I'm waiting because there's other conversation.
So, I think that keeping those positions part-time is probably appropriate. I don't think we need that to be a full-time position. I'd prefer probably having it part-time positions. But if you would like to make them, obviously, council, any other council have anything to say?
I think I agree with the mayor pro tem on this one.
Councilman Curley? So, I don't, if you want to make your motion.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for a motion. You were going to make the motion.
Okay, I'll move that we make our public information officer full-time from part-time.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
No?
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
No. All right, we'll move on
Mayor
to,
Pro Tem,
yes.
a motion to cancel tomorrow night's meeting would be in order.
Oh, so I guess we will, I will ask council if they would be willing to
Madam
make a motion.
Madam Mayor, I would move that the special meeting scheduled for Wednesday, May 11th be canceled.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes?
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to mayor and council reports. we'll start off this evening with Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. Well, thank you, everybody, I guess especially who's left, for coming out and giving your reports. And thought this went very smoothly. It's just a couple minutes to 9, and we canceled the meeting tomorrow. So thank you, City Manager Walton, Finance Director Blum. Here we go, Ms. Pomaville, Mr. Paolucci, Ms. Holman, Mr. McLeod, Mr. Gatson. No one's hiding over there, are they? No. That is all. Yeah, thank you.
Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing except that what we just did tonight in 3 hours is extremely important. There were moments when we were lighthearted, but that's okay. But it is extremely important, and a lot of cooperation from the administration, from our new city manager, and they're all appreciated. And as I've said since I moved here, East Point, no better place to live.
Councilman Baker.
Thank you. So just thank you to all the department heads and respective members here in the city that helped put this budget together. I know it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of long hours and dedication to it. So thank you for your hard work. And yeah, I'm glad that we were able to do it today. So that's it. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. So I'll start out. First, I'd like to thank council this evening for getting through this budget swiftly and efficiently. I appreciate that very much. And along with all the department heads for doing such a great job presenting to us and for all the information. That's all I have this evening, so can I get a...
So moved.
I'll support.
What are we moving and supporting?
Motion to adjourn.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes. And the time is 9 o'clock. Meeting adjourned.